You are tuned in to a Fireside chat with Zany Mystic. Join us now on another exciting metaphysical journey. Relax, tune in, drop out, and take a seat by the fire as we explore new realms and possibilities. This is Magenta Pixie. You can find me at magentapixie.weebly.com. But now, here is Zany Mystic and guest. Enjoy the show.
Greetings, and welcome to a Fireside Chat with Zany Mystic. I'm your host, Lance White. Tonight, my guest, CAL GARRISON, returns to do another show. CAL is a practicing astrologer with 40 years of experience. At present, she goes between casting horoscopes, writing books, and working as the personal assistant to Drunvalo and Claudette Melchizedek. Editor-in-chief at Drunvalo's online magazine, The Spirit of Mott, CAL is also a syndicated columnist for the Associated Press. An author with 5 books to her credit and another one on the way, CAL is well known for her affiliation with the late Slim Sperling. Out of love for her mentor, she continues to support his research with her dowsing, through her articles, and as the spokesperson for Slim's tools at all of Drunvalo's workshops. A single mother with 3 grown daughters, CAL lives happily in the Red Rocks of Sedona, Arizona. So let's welcome CAL back to the show now. Hi, CAL, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you doing, Lance?
I'm very good. I'm just actually getting over the tail end of a cold, so you're lucky. Yesterday I would have sounded like Tallulah Bankhead.
Oh, yeah. Wow, that's too bad. I hope you feel better now.
Yeah, now that I'm talking to you, I feel better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, it's always good to talk to you. I was a little confused. I didn't know what we were going to get into tonight because everything seems to be happening so quickly and it's hard to make sense of it all.
Right. So I have a funny feeling that between the two of us, we'll somehow kind of be like the fool in the tarot deck and accidentally step on the right lily pads.
Hey, that's a good way to look at it. No, I totally, because that's actually how I feel right now.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. It is a confusing time, and one of my friends said that she feels like we're still in kind of a limbo period. We could start a little bit, if you like, with the numerous astrological hits that we're going through right now. We're just coming out of a new moon eclipse, which I felt was a little strange. We're going into another one on the 15th and another one on the 1st.
Yeah, I know. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't remember when that's happened before in my lifetime, but of course I wasn't following astrology when I was 6 years old.
Yeah, no, I know. It's interesting because the whole thing with eclipses is something that really, I think probably the only people that really understand eclipses are the Mayans because their whole system seems to be based on that. And my understanding of eclipses has been limited to a lot of metaphorical BS that basically says, it's when all the hidden stuff comes to light, but there's so much more to them because you see each eclipse happens in a series.
Yeah.
And it isn't just that one event. They're all tied in together. And the interesting thing is that you have to follow the sequence in each of the eclipses in the series and try to understand not just the aspects that are formed during the eclipse, but the aspect that the next eclipse is going to form to the original eclipse. And then you've got to look at, usually there's 3 or 4 in a series, so you have to look at all of them. And the other thing with eclipses is that their effects last. Now, it's people have different ideas about this, but the rule of thumb is that an eclipse will last in years.
Wow.
Okay? Or the effects of the eclipse will last in years, relative the same number of hours that it is long. So if you got a 3-hour eclipse, it's going to the effects are going to be felt for 3 years.
Wow.
Now, with a lunar eclipse, it's different. The effect is felt for, the same number of months as the eclipse lasts in hours. So it's a little bit of a different thing, but that adds a whole other aspect to it, because you see that this is, in terms of world events, what's going to happen is that the energies that are active during the eclipse are going to span out over the length of time that the influence of the eclipse lasts. Now, this one that's coming up, the one that's coming up on the 15th or 16th, I can't remember the day. That's happening pretty close to galactic center.
Yes, that's a very important, significant event.
Yeah, it's happening pretty close to galactic center. So let's just put it this way. It's like also just a week before the solstice, so that's important too. And so one thing I do know, that I can tell you, and the reason there's so much hype around the one that's happening on July 1st, it is the first new Saros series that is starting out in the 20th and 21st century. All right. Now, the last solar eclipse of the 20th century was on August 11th, 1999. And that was the eclipse that the Kogi thought would be the end of the world. All right. They thought, they were dead sure that, the Kogis are those amazing enlightened beings that live 16,000 feet up in the air in the Santa Marta Sierra Nevadas, all right, down in Colombia. Now, these guys are probably the most enlightened beings on the planet. They were so sure that the world was going to end that they were all set to go. And then when they woke up the next day and it wasn't happening, they said, well, what could have possibly kept this from happening? And according to them, they said it had to do with all the people that had woken up. All right, so the Kogi aren't necessarily limited by their physical bodies, and the day after the eclipse, when they realized that, that they refer to Mother Earth as Aluna, they realized that Aluna was still spinning. They got into their astral bodies, and they went all over the planet to try to figure out what was going on. And they found out that there were a bunch of people that had been doing some really good work on themselves. And they showed up in their visions as lights that were beaming all over the planet. And they couldn't figure out what had caused this. And when they tried to figure out what had caused it, and I don't know how they do these things, do you know what I mean? They're so much more elevated than we are in so many ways. I've met the Kogi, and, when they're looking at you, you can tell they can't even see you, know?
I've seen documentaries on them, and I'm with you on that one.
It's like you're not even in the same dimension. But anyhow, they were looking around, and they found Drumbalo. And for whatever reason, they attributed this, emergence of light to him. And that was when their relationship with him began. Because at that point, they sent him a gift through an emissary that was supposed to be at one of his workshops. And the gift was a little egg-shaped ball of sap that was wrapped in a piece of red felt. Now, for whatever reason, this meant a great deal to them, and they gave it to him as a token of their whatever appreciation. Anyhow, that was what brought them together. But getting back to the eclipse part of it, this one that's coming up on July 1st is the beginning of the next cycle. So a lot of people are feeling that this is, the legal entrance into the Aquarian age. So the new paradigm opens up on that date. According to the people who like to theorize about these things because I don't think anybody really knows.
No, you're right. I agree with you on that one.
Yeah, so actually one of my jobs right now is to get to the bottom of what these eclipses mean, and I haven't even, touched the surface of that yet, because there is very little written about it, and most of the astrologers that are alive today don't even know what they're talking about. I mean, because they've been sort of weaned on computer astrology, and they don't really know how to cast a horoscope. So it's hard to get to anybody. All the big guys are dead. So who you talk to? I don't know who to talk to about this.
Right, and we know that the true esoteric information has been suppressed and is still concealed in wherever it is, vaults, underground, or whatever, and so we don't have access to that information. And however, we have access to our own inner information, and I think that's where we're going to find it.
Well, this is when I was thinking about how we were going to talk about this tonight, because, of course, everybody wants to know what's going to happen. Okay, but my experience is even people who are supposed to be on the cutting edge of that stuff would never say. The people that think they know what's going on right now are, it's clearly evident that they don't.
Exactly.
My feeling is like what you say. It's like I'm kind of just feeling my way from moment to moment.
Absolutely.
And what it's doing is it's opening up, this desire to just stay connected all the time, because I think the only information that you're going to get is going to be through your own inner guidance system. I think you're absolutely 100% correct.
Yeah.
And that is another thing that we could talk about, Lance. I don't want to run away with a conversation, but there's a midpoint picture that's building up right now that's very interesting. Neptune just moved into Pisces.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Neptune just moved into Pisces.
All right.
It's at 0 degrees Pisces right now. Jupiter just moved into Taurus. It's at 0 degrees Taurus. All right, now.
Okay.
What is happening in the center of that picture is the planet Uranus, which happens to be in a direct motion right now. But the way you do midpoints, within a few days, that picture is going to be exact, And so the imagery that you pull out of that is a couple of things. First of all, I think we're going to get a huge boost from the ETs and the interterrestrials, that are around here. Right. And I think what you're going to begin to see, on the positive note, is plenty of really unconditional love and unconditional support coming from these legions of beings who have been sent here to keep an eye on things, Now, the only danger with that is to sort of ride off on the idea that, they're going to take care of everything for you. I don't think so.
No.
But they're here to help a lot. The downside of that is that, that the Illuminati right now have access to the same knowledge and the same information and the same technologies that all the people that are working for the light side of things have too.
Right.
And this whole thing with the ET phenomenon, they are going to be milking, for everything that it's worth, and you probably know this already, in the sense that this is a means by which they can get to manipulate us with fear, etc. And they have the technology to produce holographic images that appear to be quite real.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that a lot of people have been speculating upon is, will they manufacture the second coming?
All right. Yes.
Now, this technology has been available to them for quite a while. And I don't know exactly, to what extent they've been fooling around with it. I mean, we all know that they've been messing around with the things that happened in Japan.
Right.
All right. What I'm talking about is sort of a more sophisticated, fine-tuned sort of technology that has sort of evolved out of the HARP stuff and the frequency research.
Yes.
So we're looking at this time when it would be very